Hey, good morning, my neighbors. Welcome to another episode of BYTTT. Before you take the trade, now had a little bit of technical difficulties trying to load up, so I apologize for being a little tardy to the party. But without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and knock out what's going on in these charts. I do have a trade that's going for my Leap account. It's kind of pushing right now. And don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and the bell button so that way you can go ahead and get all the gems when I post them, and how the market is moving. Let's start with NQ. So NQ at this point, especially with after everything we kind of talked about yesterday, let me get rid of this line so that way you can kind of see everything, right? If we look at this daily, we're just slowly just trucking along, trying to get up into this area. I think they're targeting the rest of this fair value gap, which would bring us to about right here. And if you notice, we got really close to it, then a sell-off started to happen. Um, I think with the momentum that's here, when we finally hit that target, I won't be surprised of a sell-off. But could they just be accumulating? They're still sitting here, and the brokers are just waiting for New York session, and then we just take off. Well, let's just look at some opening ranges. If you don't know or haven't been to one of my classes, I like the opening range. The opening range is a very simple technique. We basically take the first 15 minutes of the market, and we mark it off, and wherever it retrospectively breaks out of, we kind of go ahead and take that trade to that direction. So let's go ahead and look at Sunday coming into today. And you'll see that we had an opening range that started from here to here. And let me change this up. I kind of repurpose this here. Uh, Actually, this was Asian session. That way I'm fully prepared for today. And you can kind of see right here, right? This was a massive rejection and a nice little push up. Now, the problem that we're having right now, if you're trying to stay in the straight, because I've been in this straight since last night on my Leap account, is that we're getting a little bit of a retest that I don't want to see retested. And you can kind of see it's coming back even further. Um, I was looking for them to kind of use this as a bounce, but this area right here is kind of giving a little bit of pressure currently and trying to bring this back down. I think I'm going to just wedge when it's all said and done, as buyers are going to go ahead, try to step in. The only thing is, it's quad witching. If you don't know what that is, every 3 months of the year, there's four of them in a year. Hence the reason quad witching or switching of contracts. Is when everybody's just trying to reposition themselves, get themselves ready for the next quarter, and try to conquer the world. So that is what we're facing right now. So there's going to be a little bit of volatility. Things that you thought were up, it's going to be down, and vice versa. It just gets really strange around this time. But if you actually have a proper plan and proper discipline, and you give yourself a little bit of time to let the volatility settle, you should be perfectly fine. So just keep an eye on that. As NQ is trying to fight its way to this upside, and when we break out to the tickers that we're going to break down, you're going to find that some of this stuff is going to follow a lot of what you should do, so that way you can prepare for yourself in this type of market climate. I think that 800 level is going to be the tough one. Now, let's double check, make sure there's no news coming out. You already know I love my FX book. It's one of my favorites. Some people use Forex Factory, Financial Juice, and some others. That's okay too, but this is the one I like to use. Looks like we don't have anything per se. Why is this chopped away? Yeah, they try to fix some type of overlay. You can't see the date all the way through. That's a little weird. Anyways, let's see. What do we have? So today, nothing really. To look like at 10 o'clock, we got some wholesale inventory, consumer inflation expectation. This has very little to the market. There's a couple bill auctions that can kind of move the market around, but this is nothing to worry about. Let's see what Tuesday has, so we can prepare for that. Tuesday, barely crude oil stocks. Wednesday, there it is. There she blows. So with CPI data for the month coming in, this is the one that's probably going to go ahead and really move the needle on the market. So 8:30 Wednesday is when you're going to finally probably get some um, normalization of the market. Um, Maybe some last minute changes and shifts from these not Fed, these hedge fund managers. This is the area that we're probably going to be looking at. So without further ado, let's go ahead and really knock this out. So here's NQ. It's trying to make its move. I'm looking for it to break out of this area. Then I can go ahead and enjoy the rest of this 142 ticks and pray. I really think we'll probably test this area because on the daily we have this fair value gap, and I think they want that before they start to fall. So there's a lot to unpack there. So we'll see what happens there. All right, next one. We're talking about oil. Oil is in that wedge. I did tell y'all that there's a possibility we're going to break out of this side of the wedge. I think we're going to use this micro trend. We're just going to push back up, and that's exactly what it's doing. We're now inside of the fair value gap, which can make this get to $66. Look for oil to get to 66 sometime this week. Here is gold. Gold, nice little retracement. I told y'all don't forget to kind of mark off uh, your silver, because the silver is going to tell you a lot of what gold is doing, and you can kind of see this is what gold is doing. Nice lower rejection, putting in a weekly hammer. This hammer could be a warning sign for gold to come down. Meanwhile, silver is over here looking like a beast right now. So I think they were suppressing silver for a little bit, and now that they can't suppress it no more, they're using their capital out of gold to pay for the silver, and that's probably what's happening here. Nice solid break of structure, getting ourselves a nice little continuation. Meanwhile, gold looks like it's just on vacation, which is fine. Gold's been running for a while like a track star, so it needs a little breather. Meanwhile, silver was just kind of more so sideways. So look for silver to continue to the upside. I will not be surprised if this fair value gap holds and we don't test anything inside of like 33, 34, or even 34.50. We're probably going to be around that 35, low 36s to maybe 35.50. That's where we're going to go ahead and bounce again. Here's the pound. All right, so the British pound is still pushing up. Hence the reason why I think the market still has some upside. As soon as this puts some pressure on the dollar, we should get a pop. Here's ES. ES is finally starting to do some of the moves that it was looking for, which is probably trying to get into this area, test some new highs, and find a way to drag NQ to do the same. So with that said, looking at ES with this whole entire move, we already broke out of the downtrend. Look for ES to continue on this upside. Here's the Russell. The Russell is not going to have as much impact, but it should drift on up to the upside, because I think the dollar weakness is probably going to have more of an effect, even though there is some small caps people like to park their money in here, and they're probably pulling some of their money to go get the more high volatility ES and NQ. This is still a safe bet for some of these hedge funds, so I won't be surprised if it holds a little bit more. And then here is the dollar. The dollar is giving this little bounce. I think that we're going to go ahead and probably push into this area, but you can kind of see the wedging action is in effect right here. Let's go over to the daily so I can point this out a little bit better. This was that double bottom that I was telling y'all before, that there's a possibility we could kind of do this double bottom based on this level right here. This was Thursday, this was Friday, and you kind of see we're kind of micro trending our way on up. So be patient. Let's see. All right, so I'm up 160 ticks on this one. We're probably gonna keep a little bit of an eye. I might pop in and out of this one. Let me go set up my other chart. Let's see, this is knife entry. Let's get you up there. Come on, there we go. Get you up there. Get you up here. And then, sorry about that. Like I said, my computer was giving me all types of issues, and it was driving me crazy. Why would you be on that one? All right, you can go over there because you're acting stupid. It has me logged in one of my accounts the wrong way. I'm looking. There we go. That's what I was looking for. All right. So let me go grab my list of tickers that I'll be keeping an eye on. Oh, actually, I'm gonna do something a little fun because I didn't finish my homework. Let's do some homework stuff. Let's see. Amazon, I already got a couple of positions in Amazon. Amazon is a little solid. I want to see Amazon get above 220. Right now, it is looking like a this here. I need my Streamlab, are you? Let's put you over here. Get here. Come on, technology. Come on. All right. So it is right now doing this little dance here that it wants to. Now, this is the funny thing about Amazon. If I go over to the daily, this is what we've been doing for a while. I think this accumulation phase is a bullish accumulation phase, more so. Let's call it here to here, and let's call this an order block. I think the bullish accumulation phase was here. If we scroll this back, there's your bullish accumulation phase that happened there. Here is your accumulation phase, which showed weakness, and when we broke through, it turned bearish. It used to be bearish. They kept on rejecting this area, and that's about it. I think that's its all-time highs is over in this area, right? So I think that when we came down to here and we kind of rebalanced and had no choice but to gap this area, they don't want to see this gap completely filled, right? But I think they used inside of the gap to reload, and it's such a massive order block because all these people was waiting for their turn, and now they're in, so they're like, I don't want to let this go, like a bad marriage, like Kim Kardashian. But anyways, I think this thing is going to try to break its way up into this fair value gap here. Yeah, that was kind of mean. That was really mean. Hopefully Kim K doesn't come for me. uh, this right here, you can kind of see a nice little break here, going into this here would then rebalance this area. This area has been a tough area. Let me move this line. I think they really are looking for this one now. Oh, come on, get there. Right? They're looking for this area here based on this wick here. If we could get a nice little push, maybe even a solid close today up here, I will not be surprised that we get up into that 224. Now, there is a few gaps here that I think they're coming after, which probably bring us into like 242, 235, and maybe even 231. But that's going to be a lot of ifs there. I wouldn't completely hold my breath on that one. Let's see. Let me get this fixed here. All right, so let's go ahead and keep this going. So we got Amazon. Now this one I missed out on, and I just want to go on to this one to show y'all a relative pattern here. If y'all don't even notice, I got these little red shadows here. This is my market dominance, and then indicator that I kind of created to kind of tell me if there's volume in the market or not without actually using a volume bar. But neither here nor there. Anyway, so I'll break that down on, if y'all curious, just type into the comments. Hey, can you break down market dominance? What does it mean? And blah blah blah. Just do that, and then I'll do one of those breakdowns one of these days. But yeah, so massive little move here. If we go ahead and look at weekly, you'll see that this was anticipated a green candle. This was anticipated a red candle. And I think this anticipation of a red candle and not real movement happen here. I like to go ahead and know what I'm dealing with. So I'll draw a fib on this area. Let's call it main. And you could kind of see they tested to get to the 618. They used the golden zone to reload. This one right here, this is the 382, right? 382 is known for major continuation, a little bit better than the 50 and the 618. Because the 50 and 618, we could fall right through and test the 786, and that they can fall through If you read some of the books on technical analysis. But the reason why I like the 382 is because when we finally kind of broke out of this area, it's almost like they came back to the 382 to kind of reload, and it's never looked back ever since. So if you ever see a movement or price action or something happening, and that 382 level looks like it's something that they can't break, or it starts a trend or anything like that, just keep that in mind. It could give you some very, very massive moves. And in this case for DoorDash, we're talking about a price that was once 172. Let's just say you took it at the close here. This was about a 40, almost a $40 move. If you have a contract at the money, that's about $4,000 move in itself. Just to kind of give you a little, if you have enough time, give you a little insight on that. All right, so that's that. Let's see what else I have for y'all. I like coin. I do like coin. Let me see if I can find anything in coin that's tradable. I think this resistance area is what's the problem here. I guess you'll use you since you decided to pop your head here. I want something bearish. Let's do that. All right. I think that's the area that we're having a little bit of an issue here. Maybe a retracement to the 50 EMA will probably be the best thing out of all, because it then gives us a little bit of a reset, so that way we can come down a little bit and then probably take out a lot of the sell side liquidity. But if we look at this in its entirety, they want this area here, and a lot of people tell me, well, Jeff, that's not a real gap there, but this is a gap. Price action closed at this level here, and when price action closed at that level, not you, closed at this level. Come on, behave. Close at this level. Then we open at this level, right? So that area right here, if I go down to like a 15-minute chart and squeeze this in, you will then see that where the price closes and where it opens makes a major difference. All right, so it looks like we had a earnings that happened that day. It was solid. It should have stayed bullish, but ooh, look for Coinbase to get to $300, because so we had a solid earnings, 100%. They were anticipating 2.2, they got 4.6, and right here we got 43. Somebody tells you that they found an extra $430 million. What do you think you should do? You know what I'm saying? Like that's what this kind of points out. If we kind of really look at this in its entirety, you'll see that we closed the price here and we opened the price there, and we never came back up. So they literally liquidated a lot of people. So people that was like, oh, we finally got these good earnings, now I can sell. This could be early investors. This could be people that were just waiting to short it because they see in certain patterns. Whatever the reason, we don't care. That's not our job. Our job is to find the best positions, so that way we can go ahead and make some money. And this is a perfect example of that. So if you kind of see with that open, we kind of try to get inside of there, but we left a little bit on the table. That's why this wick is here, and that's this area here. I think they're looking for that 296 on Coinbase. Where were we right now? We're at 257. Oh, actually, let me go ahead. What it do, Rod? What it do? Let's go ahead and get this on here. Put it on the board. So we got coin. Come on, where are you? I think I've done a couple Coinbases myself. Come on, fill the information. I'm just writing myself a trading plan. If you don't write your own personal trading plan, I'll tell you this right now, this will save you a lot of headaches. All right, Coinbase. I'm thinking September 19th because we're in witching, so I'm aiming for all the next quarter stuff. Let's go with $300 possible calls, and then what I'll do, I will point out what I'm anticipating using my Thinkorswim and give y'all a little bit of insight. Oh, we're gonna go hammer today. That's what we'll do. Let me open up my Thinkorswim because that thing takes a while to load, anyways. So looking, I like to write a little memo to myself, so that way I know what I was looking for. The mind is not as sharp as it was before when I was younger. So I got to do that. Looking for a solid break out of 277 versus a riskier. Riskier, we'll call it this one here, this long wick here, 265, right? So versus the riskier 265 with a solid close. Looking, no, this momentum should help hit our target. Now our target is not exactly 300. It looks like I'm gonna make the target probably 295 with a stop loss somewhere around the ballpark figure of, if we get in at 265, then I would love for it not to get into this close, or maybe even this close. Let's call it 257 to be safe. 257. So we're kind of like teeter-tottering a little bit on that one, trying to see if we can make some sense, and if we can get this opening to stay solid. Actually, this could be the catalyst that makes my NQ really push up. Oh, that'll be fun. But we'll get a solid continuation and probably get some good profits, give or take a month or so. All right, let's get that. What's going on? Thank you, son. Come on. Oh, it's installing updates. See, that's what I mean. It takes a sweet time. All right, while that's happening, let's go ahead and do it with this one. You get an option chain in here, but I don't get none of the volume or anything in here, so that's why I didn't really care to open this one. But hey, that's all we have. So we gotta use what we got. We gotta use what we have. All right, looks like they kind of got rid of the bid and ask, but I'm more worried about the Greeks. Let's see. Oh, I didn't change it. Coin. Now, TradingView, if you are watching this, I am looking for the object concept for the chart that I'm here. So why do I have this? Why is it not just mirrored, or at least a setting that I can mirror what I'm looking at? Just a thought. All right. Let's see. I'm looking for a 235. Oh, actually going the wrong direction. That's why I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. All right, we are. Yeah, that's a little further. Maybe 290s. I like the 290s. Give you a little bit more of a. Yeah, I think the 290s is probably what I will be aiming for. 300 is cool, which that bid ask is probably going to be better. The volume is probably going to be better for a psychological level, but I think I like the 290. 290. And the goal behind this is that we're going to go ahead and try to hold on to this bad boy for about a month. I think that's what we're going to be aiming for. All right. Why do I feel this way? Well, let's go ahead and get my Thinkorswim up. Hopefully this thing doesn't do anything reckless. I can't remember what screen I had Thinkorswim on last. Maybe on the safe side I should. Let's just switch this. Oh, okay, I did not do anything crazy. It's all the way up there. Woohoo! Perfect. All right. And what was the other one where you can hide your info? Where is it? There's a way that you can kind of like hide your stuff. So that way, put myself out there. Customize. Where are you? Like privacy setting. Setup. Should be an easy click. Oh, okay. There we go. Think I got it. Think I got it. All right, perfect. All right, there we go. All right, so this is one of my smaller accounts. So there we go. But we're more worried about the option chain. All right, so Coinbase is what we're looking for. We're looking for September, and we're not going to do any verticals. We are going to do single. Yeah, solid open interest. Oh, that 290. That 290 is not bad, but you can see it's gonna be tough because you would want to be 280 or 300, one or the other. But I like the 290 price more. I really do. I like the 290 because it allows for. Let's go ahead and tweak this. Trying to go through. All right, last price that it traded 1905 16. Yeah, I would say there's still some players there with the volume and the open interest, but sorry, with the open interest. But the only thing I would say is if you can't swing the if you're newer and you can't swing the $1,500, maybe go with a vertical, or get this one. Get this one because the 2,100 that's 2 grand. I think 1,800 is the real number that we need to be worrying about. But yeah, this is one of the pricier stocks, so a vertical can help those with smaller accounts. All right, but you need a margin account for that. What else I got for y'all? This is this. Let's do some more. Let's do some more. No. Google's looking like it wants to make some moves to the upside. We're on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 week of a uptrend. I do think that it needs a little bit of reprieve. I think when it gets to 180, it probably gets smacked. Wix, no. Snow. Let's look at Snow. This is one of the tickers. I've discussed this with some of the people in the other communities. We've taken this as a play as well. It was supposed to be more of a gap fill and just wherever you're comfortable, you get out. I think it was like 220 or 230 or something like that, and then I got out roughly around that 200. I didn't care to fill the gap, especially coming close to earnings. So I just took my money, not wake up to a surprise. But you can see this micro trend has broken a major trend. So this micro trend kind of got destroyed when we kind of gap down here. This major trend, the new micro trend has now pivoted to this area. So now we got ourselves another pivot of that area, which would be right here. And we're kind of riding this trend that is breaking the rest of this major trend because this one got destroyed as well. And the chart kind of looks like this. Looks like a nice little solid W to a bigger W to probably even get up into this highs here. So I won't be surprised if Snow by the end of the year gets around 320 or something like that, especially as everybody's trying to push into AI and everything else. They have some AI in their software as well. Really, really good company, kind of like Palo Alto, Datadog, and CrowdStrike. Those are the ones that you want to kind of keep your eye on when it comes to these packaged software, IT like companies. All right. Is there a play here? I would say no. Maybe when we do fill this gap, we probably come back down, but maybe a day trade, if anything. I don't think I'm gonna make a note of it because I'm not gonna play it. So maybe like 213. If we close above 213, probably go ahead and melt all the way back up into like 213 to 217, somewhere around there before we start to reject. They're using this 200 here on the 30 minute a lot. They're using a 50 EMA in a 2 hour a lot. And eventually one of these are probably going to break and then they're going to test this trend line. So I really think that we'll probably do one of these, then back up. So just keep that in mind as well because it's been a minute. Yeah, it's been a while since they touched the trend line. So we got what would be deemed our pivot back here. And it's been, let me get my counter. Let's call it here. It's been about a month of just running up without any real retracement. So I would love for them to test this test this trend line before we go back up. You can see the bearish divergence forming too. All right. What else we got? What else we got? What else we got? AMAT. Clorox. Now Clorox is one of those I gotta start getting more. I did the wrong thing. CLX, I think it is. CLX. This is one of the ones that I gotta learn to carry higher time frames. I mean, more time on my option contract. Because I was in this play, they chopped it up. I barely made any money, but it did hit my target. I just didn't have enough time. So if there's anything to learn from options, oh man, we closed under here. Look for Clorox to bounce off of 123. That's probably what they're looking for being down here. 123, 124. And then they'll probably start to put some pressure on these bears. It's not a real straight down. And it's a really, really good company. I still don't understand why they're down here. Especially 6% is their only miss. They usually hold on and do well. So this could be just hedge funds and everything trying to find spaces for them to get into Clorox. Actually, let's do this. Put a nice little alert. Look for the bounce. And we'll see what happens there. I do have an alert here. And looks like I was looking for a W breakout. Yeah, that W did not break out. It kind of did like one of these things right here. I must have been back here when I did that. Looking for that to kind of pull back and then break out. Interesting. All right, let's keep this party going. Keep calm. And the video, the video is on a tear. This is another one that, hate to sound like a Jim Cramer on this one. You just buy and hold. You don't trade the video. You buy in the video or invest in the video, whatever it is that he used to say. But yeah, you can kind of see we broke the micro downtrend off of a major uptrend, and this uptrend is major, right? Actually, let's do a fun exercise. So this is 2022. So the uptrend was here. So we're talking about the trend started for long-term investors back here. Maybe when Jim Cramer was running his mouth. 2023, we kind of did one of these pivots here, and you can kind of see nice low solid bounce. When we made the higher high, we readjust, and looks very solid right there, very solid. So now we came back as close as possible. Ooh, look at that. Could it be all the investors back in 2023? They was like, I can't wait to buy myself some more Nvidia, and it got close enough that they felt comfortable to buy some more, which was $86 or so back in April. And that $86 is kind of similar to me and a good friend of mine. We was having a conversation about 86, and I thought this massive drop off over here was going to get pressured by this massive push down, and you could see we wicked it, and I was waiting for it to kind of give me a confirmation, and they liquidated the crap out of everybody. So I think this area is a good solid order block, and that's what they did. They kind of bounced off of here. Now the question is it enough to get us up into new highs? I think it is. But we are late to the party if you're trying to get in now. You could day trade it because I think there's going to be some volatility as people are pushing to get into those higher registers and get that new high. But we're pretty much, if you're going to day trade this until we break this trend line, which is probably like end of June, if it doesn't break out, just give up on that thesis. They might come back down. All right, that's the video. Reddit is another surprise. I didn't even think it was at $100 and some odd dollars. I remember this during the pandemic ish. They were like, we're going to launch our IPO. And it was like, nah, they're never going to launch it. Then 2024 surprises me. Then I'm like, it's not going to go nowhere. Did it go somewhere? But there's not enough information on Reddit for me to say maybe a day trade. Let's see if we can find a day trade. Let's get rid of this. Maybe a W pattern for my Reddit fans. It breaks above 130 with some strength, regardless of what happens. We're probably going to test these 150s. So if you want to do something a little crazy, maybe like some 150 calls on Reddit. I do think there's some selling pressure here, but they basically beat them up and told them back away, hold the door, and that's what it looked like. Look at that wick. They just wicked it and then they pushed it right back down. Nice and solid. That's that. And then this is your pivot for there. And this is your pivot for there. So nice little rejection here. So I think they're consolidating sideways until they broke the downtrend. Now they're trying to attract new investors. So we'll call this our micro trend up. And this one is potentially going to have a micro trend up here. But again, there is no such thing as a higher high without its higher low. You got to have one of those. It has to look something like this before it does that. And right now it looks like this and it hasn't broken out. So that means this is not a higher low yet. This is your higher high that needs to break to confirm that this is going to hold. And right now that's this area right here. Is this going to hold? Is this going to do its thing? I don't know. If you want to be risky, you could take this micro trend, assuming that they are, if you want to roll that dice. But that means it needs to break through 125 like tomorrow, or this is going to go back and retest this area. And there's a strong chance that it's going to fail. So that's what getting in too early looks like, folks. And if anyone knows me, I like to anticipate too much because sometimes that gambling tendency comes out sometimes, and yeah, it's not the best thing for you to do. All right, so let's keep this going. We got AMD. AMD's kind of similar to in the video, so I'm not gonna bother with that. Walmart is slowly trucking up, but I'm not gonna bother with that. Crocs. Oh, if anybody knows me, you already know I cannot stand this company. Not from a stock standpoint. Well, now stock standpoint. To be honest, it's pretty bad now. But really from a aesthetic standpoint, I think they're probably the most ugliest thing ever created by man. So yeah, this is one of those ones I'm surprised it's even at these levels. But anyways, there's people that still buys it. 20% surprise. They're close to getting to $1 billion in revenue. I think they had a drop off because I think the pandemic they were above. Yeah, it used to be above, so they're losing revenue, and it could be because of the economy and the fact those things are pretty expensive for this climate. I'll tell you that right now. Yeah, so during the pandemic ish, it was like around 3 and some change, and people were ordering online. You can see the revenue growth. Look at that growth, right? And I get it, right? Nice and solid movement, but it's kind of plateaued at this 1 billion, right? I think a lot of people wanted to see it get to 1 billion, but now that it's there and you have a almost like a 1 point, this is a big jump up from here. So I think their summers are usually good, which kind of makes sense. People usually wear their Crocs going to the beach and stuff. So their EPS is kind of solid. Let's see if they can hit that. If they can, then that means this is actually a bullish order block right around this area. And you're probably at the beginning of the party. but this is going to be if you're going to speculate that far. So you can see previous resistance, previous resistance, previous support. Any more? Okay. So this was previous support during the pandemic. They tried to hold it, give it a bounce. They couldn't. Broke down below. First thing that struggled was here. They tried to hold it. Came here. Got down here. Made higher lows. Let's do that. So we had a nice little micro trend right here. And then you had your deviation of that trend. Right there. And corrections. And that was the trend that kind of pushed us up into 2024. But then they've created this micro trend. And I think it's because of the revenue drop off. They kind of showed you that 1 billion. Yeah, you see June. They look like June. They always get that 1 billion. And then people sell off because the run up into it. That's what it looks like. Let's test that theory, right? So we get a run up before the earnings, which would be probably June, which means Croc should give you one more run up. And this one is not it. This one is it. And what did we have? We had a run up before, and then this earnings came in. Couldn't make a higher high. All right, cool. Let's see this one. Not you, but you. All right. Looks like the run up happened in here, but they were taking their profits. And what happened here? That earnings came, it fell. So it seems like after June, this thing tends to fall. This one was a consolidation, didn't really fall, and then it bounced up. And then this one, September, here's June, run up. So yeah, I would say it's a little bit of a mixed bag, but I think there is a little bit of pattern. This one just took a little longer because it looked like they used Christmas, October-ish and Christmas action. So October's returns on the earnings, and then boom, they dropped it until January, February, where they report the December numbers, which again, they wasn't too happy with the numbers 500 versus 600. Yeah, EPS versus that EPS, that gave a big surprise. So I think this one was a surprise that pushed it up. Okay, all right. I think there's a pattern here. I really think there's a pattern. It seems like on June, which is one of its higher revenues, 300, prior to the pandemic, it was the only anomaly to that one. But then this one here, 600 to 600, which was flat. This one is almost 1 billion, kind of almost 1 billion. 1 billion, 1 billion. Yeah, I think that's part of the game. So yeah, let's look for possible. Oh, come on, NQ, don't be disrespectful. Let's look for possible bounce off this order block. Looking to kind of make an uptrend again, and it's probably gonna be a micro one that's going to start with this one here, just on this move right here. Especially the fact that this was a bullish divergence. You can kind of see that. All right, we're making lower lows. I'm making lower highs here. Could they be trying to load up again inside of 100? Again, 100 is a psychological level. Let's go ahead and mark that off. 100 is a psychological level, so if we're still above 100, I'll stay bullish. Again, I hate this ticker, but I like this, the way this action looks. Look for 129. Yeah, 129 Crocs. I think 129 Crocs will be solid. Let's come over to the daily. Let's see what this looks. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. If this order block holds and they don't test into this area, which will be maybe a stop loss of here. Stop loss $94. You look for 120. Actually, let me make a note of this. That way I don't forget. Crocs. Worst company in the world. I'm just joking. Something short. I don't think this is gonna be. last too long because of where the stochastic is on that oscillator. Let's go with 8:15, August 15th. Uh, 140. Just kind of give us some distance, give us some increase in premium, and then the delta starts to hit. Sitting on an order block, looking for these to bounce, especially the action that we put in on Friday. If we make not if we should make in a micro uptrend, putting pressure on bears to sell. Sell as we hit our target. All right, let's go ahead and put that up. That is, I want to stop it at 123 no matter what. If it explodes past there, then great. But to be honest, that's what it is. And then the $94 is the stop loss. And yeah, probably hold on to that for 3 weeks max, maybe. That's probably what it's going to take. Because this was, hold on, let me see. Let's do a count real quick. Get out my way, move. 18 days, so maybe a month, 3 weeks to a month. That's probably what it's going to take for that to show fruition. All right, this will be more like a reversal, and yeah. All right, made my notes on Crocs, the worst created company. So basically, what I'm looking for is something like this, retest, and then take off. Something like that. That would be great. I do think that this 200 moving average will be tough for it. It can get up into this gap and do almost the same thing. That will add even more liquidity. That'll be better. But to be honest, I think this will be the real move. I don't think it'll make a lower low in the process because I think the order block will be strong enough. So I would say maybe keep that just a little bit higher. But I can anticipate that it won't be something tight like, nope, don't let you go that way. I don't think it'll be something tight like that or like this. It'll be something relatively wide, maybe even like this and like that. It's just so many ways that this can happen. But this would cost us money if that happened, and I would love for it to kind of happen like after July as people are piling in, going in. Let's go ahead and grab Thinkorswim and just take a look at open interest to see if we can find a good solid one. If I think what I said, 140, I think it was. Let me look. Yeah, 140. If that 140 is actually sound for an August contract, they don't have August. No. It's not open yet. They're probably gonna open it this quad witching. Probably not gonna open until the 20th. So the question is, do we go more expensive or do we go cost effective? We might have to go cost effective. Let's see what the July one looks like. The open interest is going to be terrible. I know it. But that price, yeah, figured. It's like the day traders are the ones that kind of start to pile into these things. And you can say very light there. The true play is probably going to be September. I might have to stick with September. We might have to stick with September. All right, fine. Give me my Greeks. 130, 125 will be choice. If you can swing it, 120, but 140 is going to give you so much bang for your buck. If it does what I think it can do. All right, so let's do this. Let's call it 919. $130. Let's call it a 919 $130. Let me go back to open interest. I think it was the 130 that had the 2000. So 135. That's what I was trying to remember. Okay. 135. Meet it halfway. Right? Not too spicy, not too cold, but that could be the play. All right. Let's keep this party going. What else I got for y'all? Datadog looks solid. Kind of talked about that a while back. Palantir looks like they're hitting the brakes a little bit. Probably looking for new investors. Missed out on Disney. Thought about that one. The dividends is going to be paying out in June. Maybe I'll find a spot there. Shopify. I think Shopify could get to 120. I think it's a little spicy, a little hot. I hate Dell. I apologize, but I really do. Terrible company. It's terrible. Yeah, this thing looks like it wants to break out. Dell to 147, very possible. Let me set an alert right here. Break out. Alright. Oh, let's talk about Uber. I know I talked about it before, but again, still don't like the company. Born thieves. Looks like we have ourselves a solid little movement to this upside. It's trying to continue. I want to see it get above 88 so I can target at 100. So yeah, but it looks like party is just now getting started. Oh, it's 9:06. That speed this up. I'm almost done. Roblox looks crazy. I did not think they were going to get back this 2022 level, but it is moving. Chipotle, after their split, I think there is some type of base that is forming. I think the $44 was the lowest point. I think they're going to go ahead and try to push back up. But again, this thing can sweep below whenever it wants to. Hood is almost to that $85 target. I did tell people make sure that you take your money off the table if you have less than a certain amount of contracts. And you should have been out by now. CCJ, not doing uranium right now. I'm here. I read some articles on companies like Affirm and Klarna and all that stuff. They're getting their butts whooped because people aren't paying back. Kel Supri, I think this is the one that's going to add to our deflationary actions. It's going to be very interesting how this works. I don't think they're going to bail them out. Same with Upstart. Oxy, I'm staying away from oil right now. DraftKings, actually, let me go back. I do have an idea around DraftKings. I wrote this last night. I think it's going to have a short little run for July. Let's put this up here. DKNG. Yeah, I think it's going to have a nice little short little run. It does look like a W pattern that's happening here. And they had a nice little surprise. I think what they're doing is starting to become more profitable on a consistent basis. I think they're at the precipice for that. Let's see if they can pull that off. Yeah, because this is going to be a positive EPS. which normally in June, because they're reporting all the NBA final stuff and this, that, third. That's what it kind of goes down. They make their money during that time, with the bets and everything. So I'm thinking they're going to report that they have a pattern that the sell off happens after it. So here's your June. There's your report. Sell off. This is your June. Again, this is June that's reported in August, right? Here's your June sell off. But then when football season picks back up. So what I would say is maybe skilling, maybe look for a position for the most part, maybe hold on to that bad boy until September, maybe even roll it into December if it doesn't pan out. But I do think that July is one of the ones that's probably gonna give you one more pop. Let's see. This is June. Finds its base and then pops up. This probably was a quad witching movement here. Yeah. Maybe it pops up before. Like this thing can do a lot of different things. I like the fact that it hasn't made a lower low since June 2nd. And I think the base is here because of this order block. So let's see if DraftKings can give some money. All right, let me get through this list. Toast, no. Wayfair, haven't looked at that since the pandemic. Rivian, it's butt cheeks right now. Ford, I stay away from now. It was fun when I was a rookie, but now I don't really pay too much to it. I might look for it for investing. It's been consistent. Cleveland Cliffs, Build Back Better, got shot. Peloton. Oh, Lucid. Now, Lucid, I won't say go invest into it. I would just say it looks like there's an opportunity here. Why did you just do that? I think this got beat up. I really do think that it got beat up. It's kind of building this base above $2. It looks like the stock does not want to get under $2. If y'all know who this company is, this is when these takeover, I forgot what they used to call them things. They would open up a stock just to have funds, and its design is to bring something to the public from an ETF standpoint. Kind of, it's like a backdoor IPO that people were getting away with during the pandemic, and this was much anticipated because they were going to come in and challenge Tesla, Lucid, right? Got to $65, couldn't recapture, started the downtrend, and we've been on that downtrend ever since. Let's see if I can get this right. All right, that looks good. For lack of time, I might just shorten up this. Yeah, that's that one. Then they deviated that over here. Oh, don't you go nowhere. And we've been on that downtrend. It could never recover itself. And it looks like our last peak of that is somewhere around here. Let's zoom that in real quick. Yeah. So we're talking about a major downtrend that started all the way back in 2021. So I'm not saying that this is going to be the reversal and they're going to start making money. I'm just saying there's some areas here that needs to be tested to see if they can. And being a negative EPS company is not good. I'll let Elon Musk, he'll tell you all about it, but he always found a way to get out of it. But could they have their first positive EPS soon? Their revenues are bad. People are not buying these things. They're pretty, but at least people are buying them. Yeah, you can see it. It's just, how's your production? How's your returns? How's your, like, I haven't listened to an earnings call on Lucid in a very long time, but I don't see anything on the chart that tells me it's going to be long term. I just see that it fails to make any more bottom. And what usually happens here when you see that type of action is that the market's like, we're going to push it, we're going to push it. They're going to short it, they're going to short it. But they're trying to short it into oblivion, but there's someone buying this. Someone. So just keep in mind in Lucid, And that'll be our last one. Let me go ahead and end it here. I want to say thank you for taking the time and just chiming in with your boy. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. That way you can know when I am on. Also, the one-on-ones are still open all the way to June 30th. Go ahead and sign up. Give you a nice little intro, and it is absolutely and totally and unequivocally free. So just go ahead and jump on it. All right. Also, we're probably going to be breaking down some of my charts very, 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 very soon. Probably going to do something in the middle of the month. Let's call it, yeah, probably Friday. Let's do something on Friday. That way we can kind of like really hammer a lot of our theses home and understand what the quad witching could be doing for us. But that said, I want to say thank you very much for chiming in, and I'll see you tomorrow at 8 a.m. Have a great day. Bye bye.